York, Brad Micklin, trial attorney and legal analyst. Gentlemen, on Tuesday, the New York Times reported that Facebook is allowing companies like Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and others to access information on its users, which a majority were not aware of. Brad, do you have a problem with the government getting involved on issues like this?
With regard to the Facebook issues,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the government should always be involved, or at least the FTC, when there's such a large amount of private information being exchanged when the consumer is not really aware of it. And I believe there's already an FTC consent order that's in place that's being violated. And that's the greater concern, is that, look, we can't expect a great amount of privacy when we go into this kind of social networking. But when there's a consent order in place, we're going to rely on that, and we should be able to rely on it. And when we can't, I think we need intervention for it.
Do you think there's a bias, I'll ask this of you, Brad, on these platforms against conservatives?
I don't know if I could say there's a bias or not. I think that it's such a widespread issue that everybody's going to be affected by it.
Brad, what's your read on where the Mueller investigation stands?
You know, it's an interesting question because we're still waiting to see what happens with the Flynn sentencing. And I think that's going to be significant because it's one more piece of this sort of domino that they're putting together. But so far, they've been into it for a very long time. And I haven't seen anything come out to show that there's actually been any kind of collusion with Russia, specifically with the Trump election or even the transitions. So it's hard to say. I'm still waiting for something more to come from it.
Brad, the White House maintains that Flynn was ambushed during his original interview and entrapped by investigators. Do you agree?
Part of me agrees. I mean, they had him on tape. They knew his statements were there, so there was no need to question him about it. If they thought his actions or the actions he admitted to on the recordings were unlawful, they should have charged him then. But the reality is he was well aware of his constitutional rights. He was well aware of the policies and procedures. He voluntarily gave these statements and elected that way to waive those rights. So we can't now complain that he was ambushed, even though he might have been. It's just too late for that argument.